Hello! 4 magicians who have dedicated their lives to the art of trickery and illusion are brought together by a mysterious stranger. Without revealing his identity, he shares with them a plan for the most mind-blowing performance in the world of magic. But to succeed, they will have to risk their lives and freedom many times over. Daniel Atlas, a master of card tricks, asks a girl on the street to pick a card from the deck.
Did you see one?
Yes.
Do you have one in mind?
Yes.
He states the main principle of magic: the closer you look, the less you see. After a moment, the windows in the next building light up and form the silhouette of the 7 of diamonds. Merritt McKinney shows off his mind reading and hypnosis skills. He puts a girl in a state in which she cannot speak or move. He then reveals her husband's infidelity by going through the names of the girls that the man reacts to. To keep it a secret from his wife, the husband has to part with an impressive sum of money, and Merritt again uses hypnosis to make the woman forget about the conversation that just took place. Jack Wilder, an aspiring magician, performs an awkward trick on a ship that involves bending a spoon. He promises $100 to anyone who solves the secret of the illusion, and one of the guys snatches the broken spoon from his pocket. Jack parts with the money, but soon the real deception is revealed. The performance was just a cover for a talented pickpocket who slips away in the crowd. Henley Reeves puts on shackles to jump into a deep aquarium. She has a minute to get out before a barrel of piranhas topples into the tank. Henley easily gets rid of the handcuffs and begins to remove the shackles from her legs, but the chain gets stuck in the bars. Time is running out, and the girl panics and asks the assistants for help. They try to break the glass, but all efforts are in vain. Henley still manages to free herself and dive out, but the time has run out. The piranhas fall into the aquarium. The fish surround the girl, and the water turns scarlet. The audience is terrified and tries to help, but they are interrupted by Henley, who shows up in the middle of the crowd, unharmed. A mysterious hooded figure observes the show from afar. This man has been watching each of the 4 performers, and to each magician, he tosses a tarot card with the address and time of the meeting. Everyone is intrigued by the invitation, and at the appointed time, gathers in front of the locked apartment.
Helen? No, Henley.
It's on your coffee cup.
Thanks for keeping me honest.
Merritt tries to flirt with Henley, who used to be Daniel's assistant and lover. That's when Jack shows up, excited to see his idols from the world of magic, and easily picks the lock. Inside, several riddle mechanisms await the team. The group solves them and sees a hologram with a plan for the most amazing illusion they will have to create. A year later, the magicians take the stage in Las Vegas, calling themselves the 4 Horsemen. During the performance, they promise to commit a real bank robbery. Among the audience is the famous illusion debunker, Thaddeus Bradley. His phone is confiscated, but the man has other hidden cameras with him, which he secretly uses to film the performance. The group announces their sponsor, millionaire Arthur Tressler, and asks the audience to randomly draw 3 ping pong balls with numbers. The numbers become the coordinates of a seat in the audience. A man named Atene is invited to the stage. He turns out to be a client of a French bank, and the magicians promise to teleport him directly to Paris. He is also asked to pick a card, sign it, and take it with him. A portal appears on the stage, and Atene disappears inside. The audience sees on screen that he has ended up in a safe full of money. Daniel asks the man to leave his signed card and his ticket among the stacks of bills. Atene watches as 3 million euros are sucked into the vent, and moments later, they fall on the audience in Las Vegas. The audience greedily catches the falling bills, and bank guards in Paris discover an empty vault with a card and a ticket to the rider's show. The news spreads around the world, and the robber magicians are arrested by the FBI. Agent Dylan Rhodes, who considers all magicians to be frauds, reluctantly takes on the case. His partner is Interpol agent Alma Dre.
It's bad enough they got me chasing down David Copperfield and friends. Now I'm being saddled with, no offense, with Interpol.
They interview the Frenchman together, and as soon as the agent says bullshit, the hypnosis that has been applied to Atene is revealed. He begins to imitate playing the violin. The horsemen are here too, and each of them gives the agents a lot of trouble. Merritt brings out the cops' dirty secrets and discovers that this is the very first assignment for the inexperienced Alma. The cocky Daniel warns Rhodes that they will always be several steps ahead of the police.
Because the closer you think you are, the less you'll actually see.
I'm gonna nail you.
There's not enough evidence, and they all must be released. Dre and Rhodes visit the debunker Bradley to assist them in the investigation. He was once a magician himself, but now reveals the secrets of tricks on his television show. Alma notes that he has ruined the careers of many performers, including the famous Lionel Shrike. He was exposed by Thaddeus in the first episode. Afterwards, Shrike tried to make a comeback and took a risky dive to the bottom of the river in an iron safe.
but he never resurfaced.
Oh, you mean he died?
Bradley thinks he's smarter than all magicians and reveals the horseman's secrets to the agents. A copy of the bank vault was right under the stage. That's where Atene was. Of course, the audience didn't really pick the seat in the hall either. The Frenchman had been treated by the horseman with hypnosis techniques back in France, so that he would come to the show in Las Vegas. They didn't steal the money from the bank, but from a truck that was carrying freshly printed banknotes. The magicians broke into the back of the truck and advanced, sedated the guards, and substituted the entire amount with bills made of flash paper. Among the stacks, they put a signed card, which was forged using Atene's stolen credit card. Thus, the money lit up and disappeared after it had been brought to the bank. They all fly to New Orleans to see the second act of the Horseman show. Rhodes believes there is a fifth horseman controlling the others. The agent hates those who cheat and play on other people's weaknesses and really wants to catch the crooks. In response, Alma shows him a trick herself and brings a smile to the frowning agent's face. The four fly with Tressler in his private jet. Daniel decides to compete with Merritt in mind reading, and the millionaire volunteers. The magician tries to guess the name of his first pet and his uncle's last name, but Tressler laughingly refutes his guess. Upon arrival, Alma researches the story of Lionel Shrike. He once pulled a map with a spectator's signature right out of the trunk of a 20-year-old tree in New York City's Central Park. Rhodes once again remains unimpressed. Bradley, in his show, talks about the secret order, the Eye, whose members stole the food from the pharaohs and distributed it to the people. He thinks the horsemen are fools who seek to do something similar with their shows. He is interrupted by Tressler. The man tries to bribe Bradley and makes threats to make him stop doing the episode. It doesn't work. Before the second act begins, Alma realizes how Shrike pulled off the trick with the tree. He put a card with a park employee's signature in the hollow, and 18 years later found the same man and gave him another card to sign. Of course, the man didn't remember that he had already done such a thing years before. Maybe this isn't Shrike's only trick that stretches back several decades.
After Shrike drowned, they never found the body.
What are you suggesting?
The show begins, and the four show several different tricks, hinting that they are all connected. They make the rabbit disappear in a box, after which they reveal it has always been sitting inside, behind a mirrored wall. Jack aptly throws cards at targets, and Daniel lifts Henley into the air inside soap bubbles. Merritt hypnotizes the crowd of spectators into throwing themselves, like rugby players, on their opponents, at whoever yells freeze. Afterwards, he asks all the spectators to shout their names at once, and picks out a couple of them. They read aloud the balance of their bank accounts, which turns out to be extremely small. The millionaire Tressler is brought on stage and shown a huge check with an amount that corresponds to the balance in his account. Afterwards, the horsemen ask the audience to light up the piece of paper with their balance, which they had been asked to write in advance using flashlights. Suddenly, tens of thousands of dollars begin to be added to the small amounts. The magicians illuminate Tressler's check, revealing that the corresponding numbers are disappearing from his account at the same time. The horsemen explain to the stunned audience that they were all clients of Tressler's insurance company, and once the viewers became victims of Hurricane Katrina, the greedy millionaire refused to pay compensation for the damage. What is happening now is not an illusion. The money is really being transferred to their accounts. During the flight, the magicians cheated out the code words to the millionaire's bank account, his first pet's name, and his uncle's last name. Having delivered justice, the horsemen are about to leave the stage. Tressler discovers that his leg is chained and cannot stop them. Rhodes runs out onto the stage and yells freeze, which turns out to be a fatal mistake. The four horsemen soar upwards on the ropes. Rhodes breaks free and chases Daniel through the crowded streets and bars. Alma points a gun at the magician, but doesn't shoot and lets him get away. Every news outlet trumpets how cleverly the horsemen have outsmarted the FBI. Desperate, Dylan gets drunk at a bar and blames his partner for the mishaps. He suspects she may be an accomplice to the criminals, for which Alma twists his arm and walks away. Meanwhile, Tressler, enraged by the loss of his fortune, meets with Thaddeus. The man tells the millionaire that he was merely part of a trick that had been planned for years. They join forces to take revenge on the scoundrels. In the morning, Dylan apologizes to Alma, and she tells him about the Eye. One can get into it only after completing a series of tasks that benefit ordinary people.
Candidates for initiations must follow a series of commands with blind obedience. This isn't real.
But there are some who think it is.
Suddenly, Rhodes notices that his phone is malfunctioning. It turns out that it was switched by Daniel during the interrogation when he handcuffed the agent. The horsemen have been listening in on all FBI conversations, but Rhodes offers to leave it as it is, so he can now feed them false information. Rhodes and Alma track down the agent's real phone and head to the location. There, in New York, the group nervously packs their bags. Jack worries that he won't make it through the very difficult next stage, and Daniel orders him to continue without hesitation. Everyone but Jack leaves the hideout, as the guy stays to destroy the evidence. Rhodes and his partner catches him in the act and get into a fight. The pickpocket immobilizes the second agent, and Rhodes unsuccessfully tries to catch the trickster. The latter defends himself with flash paper and cards, which inflict cuts on the agent's face. Unable to destroy the rest of the papers, Jack jumps down the garbage chute with them. Rhodes follows him. The magician steals an FBI car, and Alma and his partner rush after him. On the bridge, Jack loses control, and his car flies up into the air after hitting a bump. Rhodes runs up to the flaming car and tries to pull the guy out, but the belt won't budge. He takes the secret papers, and right after that, an explosion sounds. Bradley calls Rhodes and tells him that his partner has been planted by the Horsemen. The agent doesn't understand why the man is helping him.
I feel like I'm playing with somebody wearing ankle weights. Nippers. Keep up, Agent Rhodes.
The agent is increasingly distrustful of Alma, and in addition, during the chase, the Horsemen have made their next move. The FBI is examining the document, a dossier on Elkhorn, a company that was hiding its earnings and put away $500 million in a safe vault. This scheme had long been monitored by the other division of the Bureau, and the Horsemen stole the dossier from them using Rhodes' phone. The feds arrive on the scene, but do not find the safe in place. Their own agent, who had been hypnotized earlier, ordered it to be transported. The truck with it hasn't gotten very far, however, and Rhodes and the others climb in it to come straight to the robbers. On the way, they watch a video message from the Horsemen, in which they invite fans to their latest show at the 5 Points Art Center. That's also where the truck is headed. The car stops, and Bradley and his assistant open the doors. Dylan assumes he's finally caught the fifth horseman, but Thaddeus says they were both on the trail and simply bumped into each other in the same spot. It turns out the horsemen tricked the agents again and led them here on purpose. The safe is full of inflatable balloons, and the audience is already gathering in anticipation of the last show. The trio of magicians greets the fans with a projection on the wall of a building, while the agents chase holograms and mannequins. Alma leads Dylan to the devices on which the messages were recorded, but the magicians have gotten away from there as well. They go up to the roof and begin the performance. The trio thanks the audience, and the illusionists run off the edge of the roof. Rhodes takes aim in time, but Alma prevents him from shooting. In a leap, the magicians turn into thousands of bills. It is time for Alma to return to France, and she and Dylan kiss before saying goodbye. The delighted spectators grab the money from the air, but the bills turn out to be fake. Meanwhile, Thaddeus returns to his car, which is already full of real millions. He is arrested as an accomplice, and in prison receives a visit from Rhodes. Thaddeus tries to prove that he was framed. The horsemen have repeated the rabbit trick by placing a huge mirror in the hangar with the safe. This way, they hid the money right under the noses of the FBI, so that they would take the guards away from the empty room. Afterwards, the man they thought was dead, Jack Wilder, got in. His delayed escape and the fight were all part of the plan. During the chase on the bridge, the horseman swapped his car for another, with the corpse stolen from the morgue inside. After breaking into the safe, Jack moved the money into Bradley's car to frame him, and the man is wondering what it was for. Rhodes suggests that Bradley had been dreaming of joining the Eye, but hadn't received an invitation. After which, he decided to retaliate by revealing the secrets of its members, and now the Eye has returned him the favor. However, Bradley himself does not believe in the existence of the Eye. He suspects that some fanatic who has been one step ahead of him and the FBI all this time is behind the whole affair.
Got past them not once, not twice, but consistently. Almost as if they were on the end.
Inside, however, the fifth rider is no longer in the Bradley cage, but on the outside. It was Rhodes who recruited the four magicians. For the first time in his life, Bradley couldn't figure out the trick because he himself was his main target. Dylan is triumphant. He wants the arrogant debunker behind bars.
And wondering how you missed it. How you let yourself be so blinded by your ego.
The riders reunite with Jack at an abandoned amusement park. They discover a tree with a card inside, a monument to Lionel Shrike. By combining tarot cards with the image of the Eye, they activate a merry-go-round nearby. Surprised, the horsemen reacquaint themselves with their leader, Rhodes. He informs them that they have been accepted into the club and invites them to hop on the ride. Later in Paris, Alma discovers that someone has planted an article about Shrike in her newspaper. Rhodes sits down next to her and explains his whole plan. The Elkhorn Company has produced a defective safe in which Shrike got stuck at the bottom of the river, and the French bank and Tressler have refused to pay the insurance money. The girl realizes that Dylan is the son of the deceased magician. He has thought out all the details to get back at his father's abusers, but he didn't expect Alma to join the investigation. She was so sincerely interested in magic tricks that Dylan fell in love with her and wanted to reveal to her all the secrets. The girl decides not to turn the man in to Interpol and keep his mysteries. As always, look for the name of the movie in the video description. In the meantime, let us know in the comments. What were your guesses about the Fifth Horseman? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like so that more awesome stories come out as often as possible.